morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. You know, I'm really tired this morning. Really tired this morning. Not as tired as yesterday morning, though. I got up late, 6 a.m. I guess that's late by retired standards, you know. And I kind of half awake, I walked into the kitchen, and my wife was already in the kitchen, and she was at the stove preparing our normal breakfast, soft-boiled eggs and a couple toast. And she looked at me and said, "I need to make love to you right now, and I mean right now." I went, what? And so she grabbed me, threw me down on the floor, and made mad, passionate love to me. Well, when we were done, or maybe when I was done, but she comes first. So she got up, said thanks, went back to the stove, and I'm laying there just confused, and it's like, Dad, I'm sorry, what was that all about? And as she's pulling the soft-boiled eggs out of the pan, she looked at me and she said, "I had to do it, our 8-timers broke." My wife is the one covering her face right now at this table right here. So. All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first general membership meeting for this year. My name is Cipponeri. I'm the MC for today. Thank you, and thank you for coming. Thank you for the ones that have joined us on the webinar. Unfortunately, I think we're having a little bit of difficulty with the webinar, folks, so that will be worked out. This is the NCRO's 46th straight breakfast meeting since NCRO began in 2008. That's amazing that we've been able to sustain this string. It's because of you guys. You continue to support and attend these meetings, so I appreciate that very, very much. We have about 170 people that signed up for today's meeting. It's a good turnout. Good turnout. I don't have the number from the webinar, but eventually we'll get that. So, good turnout. Sandra, how was your breakfast? Thank you to the San Marino Club for hosting us. They've been our hosts for a while, and a special thanks to the wait staff for their courteous and efficient service. This begins our 9th year here at San Marino. We started here in, I think, January of 2012. That's right, Dave? Yeah, okay. Yeah, spot there. But, okay, so that's where we're at. All right, let me just review a few things. I took out the briefly part because I'm going to try to do it briefly, but a couple things I'd like to go through. Continue to visit our website, ncro.org. One of the things that you can do from the website is you can change your own personal information. It's under the Members tab, and it's just change your info. I'd like to go through our membership director, Pete Piccinotto, who could not be here. Nice move, thank you very much. You're Pete, right over here, yeah. Pete doesn't even admit that, so he asked me to go through a couple things regarding the membership. First of all, there is no connection between FCA and the NCRO databases. Thank you very much. Is this training? All right, there we go. I know this might be kind of this might be kind of hard to see, so I'll just read through it. There is no connection between the FCA database and the NCRO database, and the point being that if you update your personal information like addresses, email addresses, or phone numbers, that information goes to FCA, but we don't get that information at NCRO. You'll need to update that information for our NCRO database. Chrysler will not, and they won't, share that personal information with us, and for good reason. And to add, NCRO does not share any of your personal information either. So please, just remember, if you're changing information with FCA, you need to change it with us too, NCRO. If you no longer have an email address or have changed it, the only way that we have to give you information is by writing, your postal address. So please make sure that that's up to date. Many of you may be snowbirds. Apparently, none of us here, right? Tomorrow, yeah. Some people have asked us if they can keep two addresses in our database. Our database just doesn't allow that. We can only keep one physical address in there. So please keep that in mind and just make sure the main address is up to date. So when we send you written communication. Let's see. If you are living with a caregiver or know somebody is living with a caregiver, get in our NCRO database. Use the caregiver's address, physical address, email address, so we can communicate to you through your caregiver. You can reach Pete Piccinotto, who is our membership director again. You can get them at registration@ncro.org. Okay, and one of the things, just to briefly go through this, we will change that information for you. You can contact us either by calling the office. We have the phone number on our website right at the bottom. The contact us information is there. It's either you can contact us through email or just call our office. That information gets to us. We will call you back. Someone will call you back. So we can change that information in the database for you. Or if you want to, you can do it yourself on our website, ncro.org. And it's under the members tab, which is the last tab to the right. And it's a drop-down menu. It says change information. Now you need two pieces of information to go into our database to change your thing. You need your last name. Pretty good, right? Okay. And you need the NCRO ID number. Not the FCA ID number, but the NCRO ID number. And if you don't know what that is, it comes in our invoice. It comes in our invoices when we send that out. When information is changed in the database, that comes to you, or just contact us. We'll let you know what the ID number is. So this is important so that we ensure that we get you the correct communication, whether it's our newsletters, things that have to do with Chrysler, and of course, to know where to mail you our invoices. Hey, I'm the treasurer. I had to say that. That was my own part. That wasn't part of it. So please do that. If you have any questions about that, save them for now. If you want to ask them during the Q&A session later on in the program, please do that. Or if you just want to come up and chat with us after the meeting, we'll be glad to go through that with you. Okay. That one's okay, I think. Let's see, where's my notes? All right, just to mention our insurance committee again, headed up by Rich Brown and John Kaiser. These guys do a great job. I mean, they are always helping our members. Members will call our office with specific questions, whether it has to do with HRAs or this or that. They will get back in touch with you. They also run periodic seminars. I know they ran 2 of them last year. Are you planning 2 this year? 2 this year. The first one is going to be May 4th. So if you can, put that on your calendar. May 4th, and most likely it will be at the Bloomfield Township Public Library. But feel free to contact them if you have questions with Benefits Connect, and wading through the whole WageWorks things or whatever. They will help you, believe me. And any questions that you might have, feel free to call our office. The number is at the bottom of our website, okay, ncro.org. Okay, call the office, or you can email in through our website too. Just email your questions. Somebody will get back to you. Okay. Now, as a treasurer, I want to thank all of you for paying your 2020 dues. Thank you for being prompt on that and paying. I know, and I thank you for your patience too. I know a lot of you sent checks in the November, early December time frame, and we didn't really process them until about mid-December. It becomes overwhelming when they all come in at one time, so we process them about mid-December. So I know it might mess up a lot of your registries on your checks. Thank you for being patient with that. So that was for the 2020 dues. I also want to thank those who have paid their 2021 dues, their 2022 dues, their 2023, and a few of the 2024 dues. Now, talk about being optimistic. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So, and thank you for continuing to contribute to our CAF. Okay, last note I just want to mention before we just review the agenda. Advertising on our website is our retiree-friendly dealership program. This is a great way for to support Chrysler and to support our dealers too. So please, if you can't frequent them, we do have some representatives from Gowling today. If you want to, please stand up, introduce yourself, and give the sales pitch if you want to. So.
This isn't the right place to do it.
All the way.
It's working? It's working? No. I can talk loud. Anyway, I'm Bill Gowling. On behalf, it's always nice to come down here to visit with you, and we love the invitation and the hospitality that's always presented. Now that I'm 70, I also pick up a few healthcare tips here and there. Joe Alcenser is our general manager at our Chrysler store in Bluefield Hills. Matt Godfrey is our GM at our new store in Roseville. We bought Mike Reel's store in December, which we're very happy. We also have, obviously, Chrysler down in Chelsea. And for those of you who would like to have the Italian experience, we have Alfa Romeo in Birmingham. We thank you very much. I would be remiss that Jerry Farrell passed away a couple days ago, and obviously his funeral's today. He was a great guy, a very good friend of the dealers, and we extend our condolences to his family and everything else. So, anyway, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill, for coming today. Joe, Matt, thank you for being here. Appreciate that very, very much. Okay, if we can just go through today's agenda, and that means I'm finished with my spiel, and then we'll get on to the real speakers. So, next will be our president, Jay Kuhnie, who will bring you up to date on some NCRO news and information, the latest. Then our featured speaker today is Brian Harlow, a recent retiree and NCRO member, give his perspectives on his 41 years at FCA. And then we'll open it up to question and answer, and we should adjourn around noon, probably get you out of here by noon, maybe 12:15, because we started a little bit later. So with that, Jay.
The egg timer. On behalf of the NCRO board, I apologize to Diane for Mike's joke. I'm sorry. You know. I often said, as the president, you can control some things, and a lot of things you can't control. So.
Diane said, what joke?
Yeah, go by that. I'll add my welcome to you guys. Thank you, Bill. Thank you for the comments about Jerry Farrell. I don't know if anybody had dealings with Jerry Farrell as his career. I will tell you, as a young district manager, as a guy all the way through the sales division up to be a zone manager, Jerry Farrell just saved. You can't imagine what he did for this company by working with the dealers, and the dealers I know loved him, buying retail when they probably shouldn't have bought retail and whatever. So Jerry will be missed, as he was missed when he retired, and I said we have condolences to his family and whatever. So it's a shame. Really good man for this company. One thing I did today, and unfortunately I'm probably going to be a little discombobulated because there's so much going on with lots of things, but I'll talk to you as much about some of the things as I can and kind of bring you up to date. But I do want to recognize, I think we have some new members and some recent members and whatever. I'm not going to embarrass you because I've met some of you, but if you might raise your hand, and those of you who are reasonably new as a member of the NCRO, you got some? Thank you very much. We really appreciate you guys. Thanks very much. I'm not sure how you even hear about it sometimes because we've worked so much, and I'll talk a little about that with our meetings with the FCA people, but we've really tried desperately to be put into retirement packages that individuals get because we believe we're a pretty good service to retirees. But unfortunately, that's not been much the case. So, but we'll keep trying. I'd like to also pitch again. Thanks, Mike, for talking about Rich and the guys in the IC. We got anybody else here other than Rich from the IC group? Yeah. Okay. Got a bunch of the guys here. Howard's here. Yeah.
Howard's always here.
Yeah, that's right. But I will tell you that, and I'm going to put a pitch in for them, and then if you do have some issues, I'm going to tell you, please get a hold of them. They are amazing, truly amazing. And over the years, with the help of FCA, I will tell you, who actually assigned an individual to us within the company, and that was done way back when Nancy Ray was the head of human resources. Because we know that there are sometimes you run into issues with their third parties and don't always know how to get to someone. So I throw that out to you that if in fact you run into some issues, please get a hold of us. Rich and the IC guys are amazing at getting things taken care of. May not like the answer because the answer may not be the right answer, but at least they will get you the right answer. Because sometimes you may not get that right answer from the Benefit Connect people or the wage work people. So Rich and the guys, thank you very much for what you do. How many of you have been to a bunch of these? Okay, then I'm going to do something I said I would never do, or I wouldn't do anymore. Because I'm not sure, I'm going to cover a Mike's joke, I think, because I used to tell jokes, and then I decided I didn't want to, but I had a friend of mine send me a bunch of jokes, so I'm going to take you through one of them because I just thought it was really pretty interesting. It was a couple in their 90s, and they're beginning to have problems with remembering things, and I'm not sure anybody have that issue. We have a little bit as we get a little older. So they went to a doctor, and the doctor told them, you're in great shape physically, but yeah, okay, you might be having some trouble with your memory. So I would suggest that you start writing things down to help you. I know that helps me because I do that because I actually end up going into the bathroom and I have to come back out and walk all around and say, why did I go there? So later that night, while watching TV, the old man gets up and he's going to the kitchen, and he says nicely to his wife, hey, gee, honey, do you want something? And she said, sure, will you get me a bowl of ice cream? And he said, sure, I'll do that. And she said to him, don't you think you need to write it down? The doctor told us to write these things down. And she says, no, I can remember it. You want a bowl of ice cream? He said, well, yeah, okay, I want a bowl of ice cream, but I want some strawberries in it. And she said, well, maybe you should write that down because I know you're going to forget. And he said, no, you want a bowl of ice cream with strawberries. And she said, yeah, okay. Oh, no, by the way, I'd like some whipped cream on it. He said, and I know you're going to have to write that down because you can't remember three things. He said, a little perturbed, I can remember you want a bowl of ice cream with strawberries and whipped cream. So, okay, he toddles into the kitchen. It's about 20 minutes later, and he's not back. And he finally comes back out, and he hands his wife a plate of bacon and eggs. And she looks at him and says, where's my toast? So, thank you. Not that that's happened to anybody, I'm sure. Not that that's happened. So anyway, welcome again. Forward. Perfect. I'm going to talk to you about two things real quickly. First of all, I'm going to talk to you a little about the NRLN, which we're a member of, and we have a fly-in going to Washington on a week from Monday, 24th and 25th. And then I want to talk to you about a recent FCA meeting. We had a meeting with them on Monday. The NRLN fly-in. 24th and 25th, this time we're only going to have 4 of us go. We usually have 7 or 8, but this time only 4 of us can make it. So I think this is a pretty important meeting for us for a couple of reasons. First day we have a board meeting with the NRLN, which 3 of the NCRO board members are members of the NRLN board. Myself and I should say 2 of us are, myself and Dana Oliver is a member of the board. I think 3 is always because Deb Morissette, who unfortunately isn't here today, and I think you've seen Deb Morissette before. Deb is, while she's not on the board, she probably does more work than anybody does in the NRLN because she actually goes through all the bills that are that have something to do with senior issues, whether it's health care or pensions or whatever. And I think she's been through like 150 bills already this year, and they're anywhere from 150 pages to 600 pages. And she reads every one of them, and then she actually does a white paper on those and prepares them for the NRLN for them to go through and tell whether we should be supporting them or not, and what our position should be on them. So while I can never remember that she's not on the board, because as far as I'm concerned, she does more work than any of us do. But we have that board meeting in the morning to really understand what's going on. And fortunately for all of us, I think, the NCRO really is a leader in that development of what the NRLN does. And the NRLN is basically our national advocacy group that we work with to do that. And so we have the meeting on Monday. Then on Tuesday, we go on the Hill and we meet with representatives to talk about the issues that we have and what we want our representatives to do. And I've said this to you on several occasions, and nothing has changed, as you've seen and as you watch the news. It's probably the most dysfunctional organization known to man is government, our government, unfortunately. And it is real frustrating to go. I mean, people wonder why you go there, but you have to go. But it is pretty frustrating to go and to meet with our representatives. You would hope that they were of the people, by the people, and for the people. But sometimes the only thing they're for is the party that they represent. So anyway, enough said. We have some separate NCR issues. The NRLN is going to focus specifically, I think, this year on two topics. One, on prescription drug pricing, which is obviously a critical issue for us, and we don't understand why the government hasn't done anything about it, because there's so many bills out there and trying to do something to reduce the cost of prescription drugs. That's one. And the second one is an issue that's a little bit tentative, and that issue is the differences between Medicare Advantage program and Medicare. And I don't know how many of you, I guess I ask a question, how many of you have a Medicare Advantage program versus a Medicare and Medigap? Okay, so it's a real sensitive issue, because there are some issues with Medicare Advantages that are a little bit discriminatory against basic Medicare and Medigap programs. Because as you see Joe Namath on the TV and whatever, say, you get all this for free, and I get this, and I get this, and those are things that Medicare Advantage gets that Medicare doesn't get. However, the cost of Medicare Advantage and the dollars and cents that are provided, which they get stipends from the federal government. The insurance carriers get a stipend from the government, and it comes out of Medicare. So there's a little bit of an issue. And we're a little concerned that the direction of this is to have a privatization of Medicare. So a little bit of an issue that we're working on from the NRLN perspective. From the NCRO perspective, we have our own ideas, our own issues that we are going to talk to our Congress people about. First one is pension overpayment recoupment. You guys, I've talked enough about that. I will tell you quickly, I think we're close again. We had a problem with some of the groups in Washington had some issues with what we were writing about and what we were trying to get accomplished in the overpayment recoupment. But I think we jumped all over the Pension Rights Center, which is an organization that's kind of leading this activity with the government and business. And I think we've gotten that. What I've seen the new language, I think the language is back there. I won't, unless you want me to, I won't take you through that whole thing, but just know that we're fighting to get that straightened out. So the liability that you might face if there was an audit, and everybody know what pension overpayment is? I mean, you're okay with that, so I don't have to go. I think we're close to getting language that might, in fact, be put into a bill sometime this year. And then if that's passed, the way we have it set up, companies, not just FCA, but all companies couldn't go back more than 3 years from the date that you retired to find this out. And if they do find it out, they can only recoup over 10 years. They can recoup only 10% a year for 10 years. So that means if there is a recoupment, it's spread out over a vast period of time. But, oh, by the way, it also states that the companies do not have to overpay, do not have to collect the overpayment, and which is what we prefer. So anyway, that's where we're at in this one. The next one is pension plan de-risking issues for us, and that is doing things to hurt our pensions, and so we're concerned about that. That also includes annuitizations and how is that done. I don't know if anybody in here has been subject to an annuity yet. If you have, I don't know, but there's still those possibilities from annuitizations. Interestingly, protection of pensions in mergers and acquisitions. That's an interesting one for us. Talk a little more about that later. Yeah, and reduce costs of prescription drugs. That's still a part of ours. So that's the second day. We have meetings with congressional representatives from Michigan, Ohio, and Florida. I'm also meeting with key congressional representatives on the pension recoupment issue. Senator Grassley's staff and some other people there that are actually in the process of putting this language together and have said they would put it in a bill. And I'm meeting with the Pension Rights Center because they're sort of the overseer, and Bill Cartwright, who's talked to us before, who's the president of the NRLN, and I have not been real happy with the Pension Rights Center because we felt like their charter says they're here to help the retirees, and our feeling has been they've been a little more on the side of the business than the retirees. So we've had a little bit of a tussle with them, but I think they got back into the right spot. And American Benefits Council, which I don't think anybody hardly has heard of the American Benefits Council, but they've been a real stickler on this issue. They've had some issues with our proposals, and I think we have them now in line because, unfortunately, the senators and the individuals in Washington want everybody on the same page, and they've been sort of the last one to get on the page with us. So I think we're okay, and hopefully I can report next time that we've got some language in a bill in Washington. So that's it for those. Fly-in, I think. Next, if you guys can flip it because I can't do it. Won't go. Bingo. Okay, sorry, slide's not too big. The next thing I want to talk to you about is a meeting we had with FCA, which was on Monday afternoon. Interestingly, I got a bunch of files, and I went back, and we've been meeting with FCA for 8, 9, 10 years now, specifically with human resources individuals. We met obviously with Nancy Ray many years ago, then it went to Mike Keegan, then Barb Pilarski, and then Elisa Nagel, and I sent a note to Elisa Nagel a month and a half ago or so, and she had been new for maybe 8 months and whatever, and she's no longer there. So at the moment, there is no head of HR. So we met with the people that reported to her to talk about a few things that we think are on the minds of retirees. They certainly were on the minds of the board. And that was a little bit about discussing the merger with PSA Peugeot. Anybody thought about that on your mind? That's what I thought. I will tell you, and we didn't expect this to be a meeting where we found out a lot, because obviously for two reasons. One, the level of the individuals that we're meeting with, I'm not sure have any more information, and they said this to us, than what we have that we've read in the press. But that wasn't necessarily the point. The point was to get our questions into the company. You know, we've told you that we do have, and I hate to say this, but we have a council that we've kind of hired as probably because that suggests we have them on a retainer, but we don't. We have a legal organization that's very, very high test in Washington, D.C., that we counsel with to help us understand what are next steps and what are the things that could be done, or what do we need to do to be prepared in case something were to happen that wasn't appropriate with our pensions in this merger. So they've given us some ideas and some things that we need to do. So we're about doing that so we can protect ourselves. So we met with the FCA people for several reasons. First, we wanted to talk about pension funding, because as you know, when you get to your AFNs, and the AFN's going to come out in another couple of, the annual funding notice will come out in April, and you'll see that again. And it's not at 100%, at least what we believe is the funding, you know, because it's got all different types of, if it was this, it was this, if it was that, it was that. Our opinion is, and I think, John, the last time we looked at it was maybe in the 83 to 85 range, based upon what we think funding. We would certainly like it to be 100%, because we think that's their responsibility. Two, we talked about annuities, because what's happened with annuitization, what's their feelings and whatever, and we didn't expect them to tell us that. We wanted to go on record that that's something that if they're planning on doing something, we have specific ways that we want it to be done, and that's the way it has been done so far. We talked about HRA, We said, first of all, we think we should get more money because obviously cost of health care is going up, cost of prescription drugs is going up, everything's going up, and it's been static for a few years. And one, we want it to be continued because obviously they could cancel it if it was at their whim, but we think it should be sustained, continued, and it should be increased. So that's that. And then the last one we wanted to talk about was what's going on with the merger with Peugeot PSA, and how is it affecting our pensions? Well, I said obviously they can't tell us anything because I don't think that they really know yet. If you read what's in the paper says that the merger won't happen for probably till late this year or maybe into the first quarter of next year, by the time they do all of the responsibilities in the background checks and how they're going to do this and all the things that they need to do. So obviously there's time in understanding what's going to happen with pensions. If you think about it, and we've talked about this much on the board, the pensions, other than maybe a little bit of a glitch that the NCRO had to get involved in with the bankruptcy issues, the mergers of equals with Mercedes and the I guess whatever you want to call the Cerberus fiasco. The pensions were always taken care of. Everything was fine in relationship because at one point in time where there was Chrysler, the Chrysler actual corp company within the holding company, or FCA USA LLC, which exists now, the pensions were always transferred into that, other than the one glitch that we had to get involved in with the bankruptcy, which came out good. So we're not of the mind necessarily that we are going to have a problem based upon history, but we want to make sure is that we don't have a problem and that we're ahead of the game to protect the pensions that we've said that we're going to try to do for you guys. So that was the point of this meeting. The point of this meeting was really we need to get, our council explains to us that we need to make sure we get our questions and concerns to the Employee Benefits Committee. So that was part of it, to figure out how to do that. They gave us a way to do that, although they weren't really very forthcoming with us on who's on the committee and how to do that, but they gave us a way to find out how to do that. And I think we're going to then write to the Employee Benefits Committee and express all these issues and concerns. And we believe that if we do that notification, that there's some requirements that they have to communicate with us about what the plans are. So anyway, that's kind of an update on where we are with the Peugeot merger, or the PSA, FCA, QRZ, whatever merger, whatever the names or the alphabet will be with the new one. I will throw one out because I know that there's been a lot of, and this is just, this is Jay Kuhnie, this isn't the NCRO, this isn't anything, because I think, and I'm more than interested to talk to anybody else about it. There's been a lot of conjecture about the Chrysler brand going away in press. My personal opinion is that's not going to happen, and I'll tell you why. I could be wrong, but I'm just going to tell you why I think this, and you can take it with a grain of salt. If you understand the European requirements of manufacturing and what those companies have there with the relationship with and the agreements they have with the individual countries, like France or Italy, they have requirements of production. They can't lay off so many people. They have so much that they require, and they do. And if you look at Tavares's background, he's a pretty good guy in terms of taking brands or taking things like Opel or whatever and making them work. They also have production capacity in Europe that's not being used, and if you read a lot, they have a lot of issues with you can't lay off, you can't do this, you must do this, you must do that. It would seem smart that with Opel, with high-end Peugeot, with DS, their high-end models that they have in Europe, that, and not being able to get to the United States with the Peugeot necessarily way before 2026 when they said they were going to do that, and they may not now. My personal opinion is that that's an easy fix by putting a front, maybe, I don't even know what the grills are in some of them, but putting a Chrysler grill in the front end of it and changing the badges and put those to the Chrysler brand as kind of a luxury vehicle here in the United States. Just my thought. So my opinion is the Chrysler brand's still going to be around because I think there's going to be ample opportunity for them to fill production in Europe and help the Chrysler brand with some products they didn't have without spending a lot of money. So anyway, just for what it's worth, that's me. I could be dead wrong too. So anyway, again, I want to thank these guys here. I'm sure Dale's called in, Dale Cook, who kind of manages it and makes sure this before. Dale happens to be in Hawaii for a month, which is, I don't know how we can do that. But you guys have done a great job. Thank you very much, appreciate it. And at the end, when Brian's done, Brian, again, thank you very much. Brian had come up from Florida to the confines of the cold north instead of being in Florida right now. I thank Brian for coming up. He's going to be a great speaker. He's just a spectacular guy. He has a lot of background with the company and well respected. So I appreciate Brian coming and speaking to us. If you have any questions afterwards, when Brian's done, we're going to do that. And if you have any more questions about what's going on with us in PSA and whatever, we'll try to fill you in. But rest assured, we appreciate your support of us, particularly those new ones, new people. And for those of you who've been around for a long, long time, thank you very much. Without your support, we couldn't do the things that we're trying to do to protect your guys' pensions and benefits. So, again, thanks very much for the support. I'll answer questions later. With that, I'm going to turn over to Mike. Thanks.